This will be for the Khan Academy exercise, tangents of polynomials. All right, so a tangent line has the same slope as a curve at the point of tangency. All right, so if you draw a tangent line to the curve, you can see right here, at this point right here, the curve and this tangent line have the same slope. All right, so that's the idea behind the tangent line. All right, and you can use point slope form to write the equation. That's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, or you can just use y equals mx plus b. All right, you want to remember to get the y coordinate at the point of tangency, you plug in x into the original equation. If you want to get the slope at the point of tangency, you plug in x into the derivative equation. Okay, so we're going to be finding the derivative as usual and then writing the line equation for that tangent line. All right, which of the following is the equation of the line tangent to this graph at the point where x equals -1? All right, so in order to write the tangent line equation, we're going to have to find the slope at this point. In order to find that slope, we need to find the derivative. Okay, if you look at the answers, they're in the form of y equals mx plus b, but we could use point slope form and then just transfer it. All right, so we're finding h prime of x. Remember, for a polynomial, you just find the derivative of each individual term. All right, so here we're moving the 5 out front, so it's going to be 5x. And on the exponent, you just decrease it by 1, so that x to the 5th becomes x to the 4th. Plus, take the 2, bring that out front. That's going to be 2 times 3, which is 6. Decrease the exponent by 1, so x squared becomes x to the 1st, or just x. Finally, this is 2x to the 1st power. Take the 1, bring that out front. 1 times 2 is still just 2. Decrease the exponent by 1. That's going to be x to the 0, or just 1. 2 times 1 is just 2. All right, so that's our derivative. We want the slope at x equals -1. So since we have h prime of x, we're going to do h prime of -1. All right, so that's going to be 5 times -1 to the 4th. We're plugging in -1 wherever you see an x. Plus 6 times x, but x is -1. And then plus 2. All right, -1 to the 4th, since it's an even exponent, this becomes +1. So it just cancels, basically. 5 times 1 is just 5. 6 times -1 is -6, plus 2. 5 minus 6 is -1, plus 2 is +1. That right there, that's your slope. All right, in a line equation, that's your slope. The letter is m. All right, so we got that out of the way. All right, so we got the slope, and now we need 1 point. All right, how do we find 1 point? Well, here's the original function right here. H of x equals this right here. And the x coordinate is -1. How do we find the y coordinate? Well, you just plug it in. Okay, so we're going to do h of -1. This right here was h prime of -1. That's for the slope. This is just to get the point at -1. So we're going to do -1 to the 5th. All right, I'll write it underneath. Plus 3 times -1 squared. Plus 2 times -1. -1 to the 5th is -1. -1 squared is just +1, so that cancels. You're left with 3. 2 times -1 is -2. Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3 plus 3, that's 0. Okay, so the 1 point, the x is going to be a negative 1, and the y coordinate is 0. All right, notice to find the slope at negative 1, we plugged it into h prime, the derivative function. But to find the point at negative 1, we plugged it into the original. All right, and now we can do our point slope form. All right, recall that we said it's going to be y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right, remember the point that's on the line is going to get plugged in for x1 and y1. Okay, not x and y, x1 and y1. All right, so you want to take this and plug it in. All right, so we have y minus y1. y1 is just 0. And m is just 1. X we leave as is, minus x1. x1 is negative 1. So minus negative 1 makes it plus 1. Now, their answers are in the form of y equals mx plus b. All we have to do is distribute. Y minus 0 is just y. And distributing the 1 does nothing. So that's just x plus 1. Final answer. If this wasn't 0, we would just solve for y. We would do plus whatever that is, add it to this side, and we would have y equals. Then you would distribute, and you would get y equals whatever. Okay, here it's y equals x plus 1. Answer D. All right, one more. It says here, write the equation of the line tangent to the graph at this function and at the point where x equals 2. All right, we need to find the slope at x equals 2, so we need to take the derivative. This is g of x. We're going to take the derivative or differentiate. Go to g prime of x. All right, so take the 3. You move it out front. That's going to be 3x. Decrease the exponent by 1. X to the third becomes x squared. Derivative of negative 6x is just negative 6. All right, this is x to the first power. You move the 1 out front. 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. Decrease the exponent by 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. All right, so you have x to the 0, but x to the 0 is just 1. So you don't need it. You just leave that off. All right, so that's g prime of x. We need the slope at x equals 2. So we're going to do g prime of 2. All right, you just sub in 2. So that's going to be 3 times 2 squared minus 6. That's going to be 3 times 4 minus 6. 12 minus 6 is just 6. That right there is your slope, m. All right, that's your slope at that specific point. All right, that's the slope at x equals 2. Now, you need 1 point. All right. So for the point, you sub it into the original. For the slope, you sub it into the derivative. So we want the point at 2. We're going to find g of 2. All right, so here's the original. That's going to be 2 to the third. We're subbing in 2 in place of x. Minus 6 times 2. All right, 2 to the third is 8. 6 times 2 is 12. 8 minus 12 gives us negative 4. So what's the point? Well, x equals 2 and y equals negative 4. All right, so the point is 2 comma negative 4. And we're going to use that for x1 and y1. Running out of room. Let's see. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Y you leave alone. Y1 is -4, so minus -4 becomes +4. The slope m is 6. X you leave alone, minus x1, which we said was 2. Done. Okay? If it were multiple choice and you want to get y equals mx plus b, just do -4 on both sides. It will cancel here, distribute this, and simplify. Anyhow, that is the final answer. Y plus 4 equals 6 times x minus 2. Use parentheses.